Relationship advice. I, 23 female, was violated earlier this year. My boyfriend, 23 male, of 9 years refuses to have intimacy with me and I think he is going to break up with me. This is gonna be a bit long, sorry for that. I, 23 female, met E, 23 male, in the 6th grade when we were both 11 years old. We were best friends since then, really inseparable, practically joined by the hip. We started dating when we were 14 and never stopped. We were the typical teenage couple. We had our fair bit of stupid fights but overall, our relationship was pretty mature given our ages. Eve family practically adopted me when my parents died when I was 17. My parents died in a car accident and they were estranged for their families so I had no one else to go. His mom loves me and my relationship with the rest of his siblings is pretty good. He has one older brother, 25 male, and 2 younger sisters, 19 and 17 female. I considered his family as my own. They helped me so much since my parents died. They let me move in with them. They paid for my college and rent. I live with E and they pay our rent. They are really supportive of us and his mom have a heart of the size of the entire freaking world, I swear. E is tall, 6'3", absolutely gorgeous, easygoing, funny, really freaking smart. He speaks 5 languages and is attending med school. Everyone likes him. Me on the other hand, I'm pretty common. I would give myself a 7/10 on a good day. Despite all that, he was always jealous and insecure about me. He is absolutely terrified of me cheating on him. His aunt cheated on his uncle who later ended himself. They were really close and that give him some severe mental scars. Given that he was always a bit controlling of me hanging around with male friends and make me promise him that I would never cheat on him 1,000 times. Earlier this year in February, I started spending a bit of more time with my friends and as a result, I wasn't spending much time with him. This started our biggest argument so far. He argued that I was prioritizing my friends, male friends specifically. He tried to make me cut one of my closest friends that he didn't like. I wasn't going to do that and we ended screaming at each other. This led to a day that I was supposed to go to a party with my friends at night. He asked me to not go there because my friend was going to be there. I told him no. Before I left, he told me that he was feeling sick. He told me that he was feeling a headache and a slight fever. He asked me to stay home and order some food and watch a movie with him. We started to argue. He screamed at me and I left. I am going to try to make this short and not graphic. I meet with 3 of my friends there, drink more than I should, got really drunk, went to lay down in one of the rooms in the house that the party was happening, fell asleep, and woke up with my 3 friends violating me. I was able to scream and one girl who was in the bathroom heard me and came to help me. Soon other people started showing up and, in the end, the guys who did it were beaten up, close to death. I was taken to a hospital after that. 2 of the guys are in jail right now and the other was able to dodge prison because he didn't have taken his turn yet. To say that this whole thing messed me up is an understatement. I was diagnosed with depression and PTSD. It was bad, really freaking bad. I started having this panic attacks where I couldn't breathe and the only thing that made me feel better was E. If he was there, I didn't have any panic attacks, but if he leave for more than 30 minutes, now is a bit better. I am able to be away from him for about 7 to 8 hours without feeling terrified. I started to freak out. It was probably one of the few people who were grateful for the lockdown, LOL. A mix of obsessive attachment with anxiety, my therapist said. He was my goddamn hero. He cooked for me, made sure that I was eating, made sure that I was taking my meds, drove me to my therapist and psychiatrist appointments. He started showering with me, because it was the only way that I was comfortable being nude. Don't ask me to explain why. He held me down when I started sobbing at random moments of the day. I used to have night terrors, and the only way to this day I can fall asleep, is with my head on his chest. He's the only person who makes me feel safe. Basically he and his family, his mom helped us a lot. She was the one who delivered groceries to our apartment. Because he couldn't leave or else I started to panic, were the ones responsible for me not ending myself. Our life was pretty good before the incident. We lost our first times to each other when we were 16 and we were each other's firsts and only in everything, even kissing. He has an insane high libido. For him, we could do it 7 times a day and he could keep up for hours. But we normally did once or twice a day and I always blew him at least once a day. He always pressured me a bit for more and was always hurt when I refused, but overall, our bedroom life was pretty healthy. After the thing, he never, ever, mentioned or tried to initiate or any type of thing like that. I started to feel comfortable with kissing him around the end of August, but he only gave me short pecks and he didn't seem to enjoy them. These days, when I tried to give him a more elaborate kiss, he pulls away. In the middle of September, I was finally feeling good enough with myself to have sex again. I put on some fancy lingerie and tried to initiate, but once he saw what I was trying to do, he pulled away. Gave me a kiss on the forehead, said that he was tired and went to sleep. This doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is. Ever since we did it for the first time 7 years ago, he never shot me down when I tried to initiate, not even once. And the longest time that we spent without having sex was 4 days. Before the whole thing, obviously. Every time that I tried to initiate, he always gave me an excuse. He was not in the mood, he was tired, he was busy, and like I said before, he has the libido of a porn star, and I caught him pleasuring before, so that didn't change. My twisted mind thought he was cheating on me, even though that the max time that he spent away from me in these days is for about 4 or 5 hours. So yesterday, I snooped through his phone. Yes, after all the things he has done for me I did this. Yes, I am a horrible girlfriend, and he wasn't cheating on me, but I find out something that I honestly don't know if it's better or worse than cheating. He was talking to his older brother about us. The main facts that I discovered were this. That he blames himself for letting me go to that party. That every time I tried to initiate, the only thing he is able to think is the other 3 guys being inside me, and how wrong the thought of other guys being inside of me made him feel sick. That how our special thing for us was lost. The special thing is that we lost our first to each other and never had us with anyone else. He used to say that in the future he will brag to our future grandchildren about how in the age of hookups we only did it with each other. This may seem dumb, but it was something that he was really proud of, because he is really romantic in that sense, and his parents were each other's onlys and they were pretty much the perfect couple. That before the incident he bought a ring and was going to propose to me, but he feels like he started to see me more like one of his sisters and that the lust that he had for me, now feels like fraternal love. His brother responded that he had to suck it up and stay with me at least until I get totally healed. He said to him that he wasn't sure if I was going to heal completely. I read all these things last night, read it, and I really don't know what to do. The thought of not being with him makes me feel terrified. We were supposed to grow old together, he had our whole life planned already, we even discussed baby names. He is absolutely perfect and I don't want to lose him. I have a therapy appointment next Monday, but I don't think I'm able to keep this to myself until then. I'm really desperate here, any advice is really appreciated. Sorry for the long post, I feel like I needed to vent a little. Now for the top advice. Tell him what you saw and talk to him. I am sorry for what you have gone through, and what you will go through, because he is likely on his way out. I had a buddy whose girl went through something quite similar. He was simultaneously angry for failing to protect her, and angry that she put herself in danger despite his request not to go on the skiing trip. They tried couples counseling. It did nothing for them but might for you. I would suggest that he get to therapy as well, to help him process the event. I think it would be compounded if one of these scumbags was the guy her boyfriend asked her to cut contact with. Definitely not her fault, so I hope it didn't sound like I'm implying that. And count me in on the boyfriend getting therapy wagon. It was one of the 3 guys that he didn't like. He is going to therapy since the thing. It's already over. He's waiting for you to get somewhat sane before he leaves. I don't think he can get over the thought of seeing you defiled, and I don't think he can forgive you for going to the party when he told you he was concerned about hanging out with those guys, and for leaving him when he was sick. I hate to break it to you, and I feel terrible about what happened to you, but I don't think he is your boyfriend any longer. He is your caretaker, for a bit. Then, he will be somebody you used to know. Damn, you made me realize something about what's happened to me before. My ex openly cheated on me while I was almost dying. Made me plea not to do it. After the breakup and everything, the person she ran to was violent with her. Nothing can ever change the hurt and I moved on. I helped her for a bit, because I loved her kids a lot, but I was never going to be back with her no matter what. This is a tiny bit of the full story, but yeah, you're right. Sometimes, decisions have unintended permanent consequences. I don't have any advice for you, but I just want to say that I am so sorry this happened to you. Please know that this was not you or your boyfriend's fault, and I hope someone on Reddit can guide you guys in the right direction. Thank you. Now for the last story. I was violated and got pregnant. My 26 female boyfriend, 30 male, is changing his mind about the baby. I won't go into details about the titular incident, but I'll have sole custody of the baby. I'm now about 35 weeks pregnant, so, real 11th hour stuff here. My boyfriend and I have been together nearly 3 years. When we first found out I was pregnant, we hoped that the baby could be his, but a test proved it was not. I was early enough at that point to terminate, and I considered it, but my boyfriend said that he wanted to be there for me and the baby, and that he was ready for this, if I was ready too. I told him to take some time to think it over, and after a few weeks, he told me he was certain that this was what he wanted. Now he's changing his mind. I'm about 95% sure this is related to his family, as he went to see them in person for the first time in months last weekend. He had to tell them about the nature of the conception, as the baby won't look like him. He came back Sunday night. I asked how it went, as he'd been ignoring my texts, but he just said he wanted to go to bed and we'd talk in the morning. Monday morning, there was no talk, and when I went to kiss him, he pulled away. It's now Thursday and our conversation all week has been limited to me asking questions and him giving one-word responses. Then earlier today some baby furniture arrived. I started putting it together. Then my boyfriend came home and I asked him to help. He said, "Your kid, do it yourself." I asked where that came from, as he's been saying this is our baby for months now. He said, "Well, it's not our baby, is it?" I asked if we could talk about this, but he said he has to get some work done and we'll talk in the morning, and then he shut himself in the office. I made dinner, asked him if he'd eat with me, and he said he'd take his meal in the office. I brought it in and asked him if he'd come to bed, and he said he was going to sleep in the office tonight. There's a sofa. I walked past about 20 minutes ago and heard snoring. I am currently alone in bed, about 5 weeks off giving birth, and my boyfriend, who said we could do this together, is sleeping in the next room, and has done a 180 on me since visiting his parents. I don't know what to do. I don't want to pressure him into being a dad if he doesn't want to. My mother didn't want to be a mom and I grew up feeling unloved/unwanted, and that isn't what I want for my kid. But I don't want to lose him, either. I love him, I can see a future with him, but that future has to include this baby, because we are way too late in the game to change that detail. Is there anything I can do? Something I can say to fix it or reassure him or something? Is this more likely to be down to his parents given the timing, or is he just choosing now to say something? Now for the top advice. There's a lot of questions. 1. Have you sought therapy for what happened to you, and or have you two done couples counseling? 2. What was his initial reaction to your ordeal? 3. Are you currently employed? 4. Do you have the funds to raise this baby alone? 5. You also mentioned that your future has to include the baby. Why? 1. I had some therapy at the time. No couples counseling, though I have suggested it. 2. He was worried for me. Made sure I was alright, helped me with the legal case, nearly fought the guy who did it. 3. Yes, but I've had to change workplaces since the incident, so while I'm getting paid maternity leave, I'm earning less than I was and won't be able to take a lot of leave. 4. I make more than my boyfriend does, but not by much, so if I had to, then I could afford to raise this baby alone, but it'd be a lot financially tighter than if I did it with him. 5. I'm 5 weeks off my due date and I love this baby already. So, just to explicitly clear, you wouldn't consider adoption an option at this point? Also, I am so sorry you're going through this. The whole thing. The incident. The pregnancy. The flip-flopping boyfriend. It isn't fair and I hope things work out for you. So, just to explicitly clear, you wouldn't consider adoption an option at this point? No. If I'd decided to adopt my baby out months ago, then maybe that would be an option, but I've spent 8 months bonding with this baby and I love him already. I couldn't give him up at this stage. I'm fairly sure your boyfriend's just started to see what he signed up for. I think he's been on autopilot since your incident, and has been doing his best to support you, even in regards to your kid. Maybe he did at some point think he'd be comfortable raising the kid as his own, but started to see things differently once the days started counting down. His friends and family could have also contributed to his change in stance, since the 180 started after visiting his parents. In all honesty, if that's all it took to convince him that his stance was incorrect, or that it was outside his comfort zone, then he was barely on board with it to begin with. I don't know if he lied back when he said he'd raise the kid, or if things just started to set in. Either way, his decision will probably stick. I don't say that to be cruel, but it takes a special type of guy to do what you're asking. You may already be in love with the kid, but your SO doesn't have that connection. If anything, he'd forever associate the child with your violation, and your violator. I know this isn't what you want to hear, but I think it's good that this is coming out now, and not later when the kids are there. The kid deserves to be raised in a good environment. If your SO doesn't think he can do it, then you pretty much have your answer. If you're both willing and able, I guess you could try your hand at couples counseling. Having a professional therapist in the room may help clarify some things, and sway your SO if possible. If nothing else, you'll finally know his actual stance on the matter, and how he feels about the situation. I'm sorry you're in this position, wish I could offer better advice. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. Turn the notification on to get updated on my latest posts. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.